Welcome to the show this morning. We have a very special guest this morning. He's Congressman Bob Clement, representative of the 5th Congressional District for the state of Tennessee. And let me welcome you to the show this morning, Congressman Clement.
Dr. Haney, it's a real pleasure to be with you today.
Congressman Clement, you've been involved in politics in the state of Tennessee for quite a while, but you also come from a political family. I think many of our viewers will remember your father as being the governor of the state of Tennessee, and in a real sense, you sort of grew up in the politics of Tennessee. So why don't you give us some information, not only about your political career, but give us some information about your background and the various kinds of projects that you've been involved with, and as well as your education and perhaps your political career up to this point.
Well, Dr. Haney, as you stated, I came up in a political family. My father, Frank Clement, got elected governor at the age of 33, and I was only 9 years of age, and so I lived in the governor's residence here in Nashville for 10 years. And it was quite an experience for me, being a young boy and growing up in those surroundings, because my father came up the hard way from a rural county in Tennessee, Dixon County, 40 miles west of Nashville, and he had a big dream, but he didn't have any money or contacts. But he used to tell people when he was 16 years of age, I'm going to be governor of Tennessee one day. And everything he said and did was toward that one goal and one objective. So at age 33, that dream was fulfilled, and Frank Clement was elected governor. And I lived there at the governor's residence for 10 years. I lived a very normal life, really, because Dad didn't want us to be anything other than good boys. And even though we had all kinds of experiences, and I grew up with the highway patrol and prisoners from the state penitentiary, because we had about 40 to 50 prisoners that cut grass and made up the beds and cooked the food on a daily basis. For many years, I wasn't so sure which group I liked the best, whether it was the highway patrol or prisoners, because those prisoners knew how to play basketball, and for a boy 9 years of age, that was pretty important. But it did give me a real appreciation for people in all walks of life, no matter what their background or color or race or creed, but people that have had troubles and difficulties in life, but we're all human beings. And so it gave me a real appreciation for people. And so I lived in the governor's residence from age 9 to 15 and from 19 to 23. And as a young boy, I used to watch Dr. Davis out at Tennessee State University, and I know you're affiliated there. And Dr. Davis, back in those days, Tennessee State, on their agricultural farm, used to raise chickens and turkeys and had a real farm operation. So I got the bright idea to do the same thing at the governor's residence. So I had 150 chickens and 50 turkeys and goats and horses and one monkey, but my brother Frank fed it candy and it died. So I had a lot of different experiences as a young boy.
Very good. Now, your education and your careers outside of politics, we also know that you've had the opportunity to become involved in education and as the president of one of the institutions in the state of Tennessee. Why don't you talk about that? Because I think education is very important now.
Well, Dr. Haney, when I grew up, I really felt strongly that I couldn't always depend upon my father and mother to be there to help me. And when my father died at a relatively young age, at 49, and I was in my 20s, and I was still in the U.S. Army. So when he died, my contacts, my power went out the window. And Bob Clement had to make a name for himself and had to do what's needed to get ahead in life. And so I'll never forget that, because I remember people, even in high school, at Hillsborough High School, where I graduated, people say, well, Bob Clement, you don't need an education. You don't have to prepare for the future. Your daddy's governor. Not realizing my father would die at a very young age, and I was a very young age when he died. And that really taught me something, that no matter who you are, you better take out an insurance policy. And so I did go to college, graduated from University of Tennessee in Knoxville, got my MBA from Memphis State University, I went in the Army for 2 years. I was discharged to first lieutenant. I've been in the real estate and the insurance business. I was elected to the Tennessee Public Service Commission, where I served for 6 years. Then President Jimmy Carter appointed me to the Tennessee Valley Authority, TVA Board of Directors, where I served for 2 years. I was in the real estate syndication business. Then I became a college president, as you mentioned, at Cumberland University. And then I resigned to run for the United States Congress here in the 5th Congressional District for Davidson County and Robertson County, where I got elected January of 1988. Mentioning all those jobs and positions I've had in life, it looks like I can't hold a job, Dr. Haney.
No, I think it indicates the kind of experience that you bring to the 5th District, Congressman. And let's talk about that, because I think one of the real problems that we have today has to do with our infrastructure. And on many occasions, we've had an opportunity to hear you say something about transportation in this country and some of the problems associated with transportation, and some of your visions in terms of what can be possible in terms of trying to alleviate some of the congestion and some of the other problems that we have. Let's talk about transportation in Nashville and the airport situation for the next few minutes.
Well, we've got to rebuild America. We've got to rebuild our infrastructure, which brings about new jobs, new opportunities for us all. And I'm on the Transportation Committee in Washington, D.C. due to my membership in the United States House of Representatives. And I'm a very active member. And we've got the highway bill pending now, which is a multi-billion-dollar bill. And naturally, I wanted to take care of Nashville and Middle Tennessee as part of it. So we have $3.7 million in there for an intermodal or land port, we might call it, or a mass transit transportation center for the development of it. We expect, MTA and myself expect it'll cost about $33.4 million when it's totally completed. But it'll be a transportation center downtown. That'll be part of it, which will give us an opportunity to for van pools, car pools, bus service, shuttle service, transportation to the airport, a mass transit system in terms of light rail, hopefully Amtrak service. But we got to look and prepare now for the future, because the future is such a short period of time. But if we don't plan and dream, nothing will happen. And that's why I wanted to incorporate it into the highway bill. And we've been fortunate that our proposals have been incorporated in the highway bill, and we expect to vote on it in Washington, D.C. In September, and it will benefit Nashville and Middle Tennessee.
Now, you also mentioned Amtrak as part of this whole operation. Why don't you give us some information as to how you see Amtrak and some of the problems that you see in terms of trying to bring that through Nashville?
Well, you know, I'm a native Nashvillian. Most people live in Nashville now are not native Nashvillians. They've come here from other places, which is great, which has offered a new dimension for Nashville. I think I'm the endangered species these days, because most people, such as yourself, who've come from Arkansas, but Nashville is your home just like it's my home, and we all want to build a greater Nashville area. And I remember train service and passenger service in Nashville. Matter of fact, I've ridden on a train from Nashville to L.A. and back as a boy. But that's non-existent now. Well, I'm trying to bring it back, and we've got some movement in that direction now. Hopefully we can tie it in with the Olympics of 1996 that'll be held in Atlanta, Georgia. And hopefully by that date we'll have Amtrak service again in Nashville, which would run from Chicago to Jacksonville and on to Miami, which would go through Springfield, Tennessee, Nashville, Murfreesboro, Chattanooga. The last time we had Amtrak service, it went through Birmingham, which I'm not sure was the best route. We think this could be a most profitable route for Amtrak service, because they're more and more moving toward being in the black by the year 2000. And that's what we'd like to see happen for the sake of all concerned. But you have to realize also that no country in the world has been totally in the black when it comes to offering passengers